All right, so let's jump into this crypto deep dive report. It's from February 5th, 2025. Ready to kind of see a snapshot of what's happening in the crypto world.
Always interesting to see what's new. This market, it seems like it never sleeps.
It really does feel that way sometimes. So the report's kicking off with this overview of the market. And it looks like today things are a bit, you know, dippy.
A dip? Yeah, I guess you could say that. The total market cap is down by 2.37%, and the 24-hour trading volume has also decreased. It's down 22.52%. But these fluctuations are to be expected, especially since this is still a relatively young market.
I see. So I guess that means seasoned crypto investors aren't panicking yet.
No, not necessarily. This is all just part of the crypto roller coaster ride. The more interesting thing today is how dominant stablecoins are in trading. Wow, 92.82% of the 24-hour volume is in stablecoins. That suggests that people are moving towards those less volatile assets, maybe waiting to see what happens next.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of like taking shelter during a storm. But even with this dip, Bitcoin and Ethereum are still doing pretty good, right?
Yeah, they are. Bitcoin's down 1.64%, and Ethereum dipped 1.03%. These small drops are nothing to worry about. But it does remind us that even the biggest players can be affected by the market. It could be due to macroeconomic trends, or some regulatory news came out, or even just the mood of the market.
Right, it's all connected, so a mixed bag so far. But let's take a look at the top gainers and top losers section. This is always interesting. Wow, official Trump is up over 6%. That's the Trump token. Politics and crypto, huh? I never would have thought those two would mix a few years ago.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The reach of crypto is expanding in ways we couldn't have imagined. I think regardless of anyone's political views, the rise of this Trump token shows just how much these assets are becoming a part of our lives, even the political sphere.
For sure. We're also seeing Gala and Litecoin making some gains today. But on the other hand, Relatium, Athena, and Virtual's protocol are all seeing losses. It's like this constant dance between all these different projects. What do you think is driving these changes?
It's hard to say without really going into detail about each project, but generally speaking, it's usually things like project-specific news, or maybe some new technology came out, or even just these broader trends that affect certain parts of the crypto world.
Okay, so let's get into some of the specific projects that are making waves. MegaETH is really catching my eye. They have these soulbound NFTs called the Fluffle, and they're non-transferable, which is a pretty big change from the usual NFT craze.
It is. MegaETH is trying to shift the focus away from speculation and instead focusing on building a community. These Fluffle NFTs, you can't trade them or sell them. They're supposed to encourage people to stay engaged for the long term and create a feeling of shared ownership within the MegaETH ecosystem.
So it's almost like a virtual membership badge then, creating this deeper connection than just buying and selling to make a profit.
Exactly. And it seems like this approach is working. They're projected to raise something like $28 million from selling these Fluffle NFTs.
Wow. That's a good sign that people believe in these community-driven projects. It's also worth pointing out that MegaETH is committed to stopping money laundering, those AML measures, but without needing those sometimes intrusive know your customer procedures, the KYC stuff.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. This approach could set a new standard for NFT projects, especially for those that really care about building genuine community engagement.
Definitely something to watch. Now let's switch gears and talk about real estate. It seems like even property is getting a blockchain makeover these days.
It is. This company, Block Square, they're based in Luxembourg. Oh, they've launched this EU-compliant real estate tokenization framework. And this is pretty important because it solves a big challenge. It connects the physical world of real estate with the digital world of blockchain.
They're tokenizing economic rights? Sounds pretty technical. What does that actually mean for someone who might want to invest in real estate?
Imagine this. Imagine being able to buy just a small part of a building. You could buy a token that represents a tiny percentage of ownership. Kind of like when you buy stock in a company. You'd have a share of the property's economic rights, proportional to the amount you invested.
You wouldn't need to buy a whole property then. You could just buy a small piece of it.
Exactly. That's the potential of tokenization. It makes real estate investing way more accessible, and it makes it easier to buy and sell.
And Block Square is doing this all legally. They're integrating with those land registries and using legally verified agreements. And they're creating Block Square property tokens, or BSPTs.
Right. And what's really important is their commitment to following EU rules. This shows that the blockchain industry is moving towards more regulation, and it shows that blockchain technology is being used more and more in the real estate sector.
It really feels like we're seeing these separate worlds starting to come together. It's going to be really interesting to see how this all develops. Speaking of interesting developments, AI is starting to be used in decentralized finance, or DeFi.
Yeah. The Suji Foundation just launched an $88 million fund, and it's specifically for developing these AI-powered DeFi agents. These DeFi agents sound like something out of science fiction, but they're becoming a reality.
DeFi is already a bit complicated for some people. Can you quickly explain what it is and why AI is such a game changer in this space?
Okay, so decentralized finance, or DeFi, well, it aims to rebuild traditional financial services, like lending, borrowing, and trading, but on the blockchain, without needing those middlemen like banks. It's supposed to be more transparent, more accessible, and potentially cheaper. Now imagine adding AI to that.
So we're talking about AI possibly managing our finances
Yeah.
in a system that's decentralized.
That's the idea. These DeFi agents could look at market conditions, identify opportunities, and even manage your investments based on how much risk you're willing to take. And it's all done within this decentralized and transparent system.
It sounds like having a financial advisor who works 24/7.
And that's always in the future. It really shows how fast technology is moving and how crypto is at the forefront of this whole evolution.
Wow, that's a lot to process. And we've only just started looking at this report. It's amazing how much is going on in the crypto world.
It really is a dynamic and ever-evolving space, but let's take a moment to catch our breath, and then we can look at some other important news from the report, because there's still a lot to cover. Okay, so first up we have Reservoir. They're a platform focused on NFT infrastructure, and they just raised a cool $14 million. This shows that people are really confident in the future of NFTs. And not just for art anymore. We're seeing NFTs being used in all sorts of industries and for all kinds of things.
Right. It makes sense that as NFTs get more popular, the systems that support them need to improve too. Kind of like needing to build better roads as more cars hit the streets.
Exactly. Having good infrastructure is super important, especially for something as fast-moving as NFTs.
Okay, so then we have Ondo Finance. They're trying to tokenize traditional assets, like stocks and bonds. This could be as big of a deal as stablecoins were for regular currencies.
Yeah, it's definitely ambitious. They're trying to connect the world of traditional finance with decentralized finance by tokenizing stocks and bonds. Ondo Finance is hoping to make these assets easier to access and trade.
So imagine being able to buy and sell parts of stocks or bonds. On a decentralized exchange, you could potentially avoid all those traditional brokerage fees and limits.
It's a pretty big change. It makes you wonder if these tokenized securities will become as common as stablecoins. It's something we'll have to keep an eye on.
Definitely. But it's not all good news in the crypto world. Bybit, a crypto exchange, well, they were fined $1 million in India. It was for compliance violations. It reminds us that as crypto gets bigger, we need to be more responsible.
For sure. As the crypto industry matures, we're going to see more regulations and enforcement. It's a sign for these platforms to start playing by the rules, wherever they operate.
It's like the end of the Wild West days for crypto. Speaking of adapting to change, we see Riot Platforms is actually doing well in Bitcoin mining, even though Bitcoin production overall is down.
That's interesting. It shows that the mining industry is tough and can change with the times. As the market changes, miners need to become more efficient and come up with new ideas if they want to stay ahead of the game.
It's like a never-ending race to be the most efficient. There was also some surprising news about Ripple. The XRP ledger suddenly stopped working for a whole hour, and they're now investigating what happened.
Incidents like this can be worrying, but they're also a chance for the industry to learn. It shows us that we need to have really strong infrastructure, and we need to always be trying to make the network more stable.
So even with all the progress, there are still weaknesses that need to be fixed. And here's something I didn't expect. The SEC, you know, the ones who are usually pretty tough on crypto? Well, they're thinking about offering retroactive relief for past coin offerings that might have been incorrectly labeled as securities.
This is interesting. It suggests that they're willing to rethink some of their past decisions. As we all learn more about crypto assets and how to regulate them,
Maybe it's a sign that regulators are starting to understand the complexity of this space. And finally, some good news for those affected by the FTX collapse. FTX's Bahamas branch is getting ready to start paying back creditors.
that's good to hear. It's a small step, but at least it's something positive for those who lost money.
It has been quite a journey through the crypto world today. Market dips, innovative projects, regulatory hurdles, and even some glimmers of hope. It's a lot to take in.
It really shows how dynamic and ever-changing this space is. Change is the only thing you can count on in crypto.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to see. Like, crypto's kind of becoming a part of everything, and it's changing so many industries. I'm curious, what about you? What really stood out to you from all this stuff we talked about today?
There's just so much happening, right? From the ups and downs of the market to those really innovative projects. What piqued your interest? Was it that whole MegaETH thing with the community NFTs? Or maybe you were intrigued by the idea of tokenized real estate?
Or maybe it was those AI-powered DeFi agents. Like, those got you thinking about the future of managing your money.
Whatever it was. It's clear that the crypto world is full of possibilities. But it's also really complicated and always changing. I think the important thing is to really engage with it thoughtfully. And don't be afraid to ask questions and form your own opinions.
Exactly. This space needs more than just investors and developers. It needs people who are informed, people who are engaged, people who can help shape its future.
Right. Your curiosity, your questions, your insights, they all matter. You never know. You might be the one to come up with the next big breakthrough.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those questions. The future of crypto is being written right now, and you're a part of it.
Well said.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the crypto world for today.
I hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit fun.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring that amazing world of knowledge and discovery out there.